Write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form given these 2 points. I honestly think on this problem you just did a little, my guess would be adding subtracting error. So if you still have your work, you might want to go back and look at that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the slope. So I always underline the y's. Y goes on top and x goes on the bottom. So on the top, I have 12. On the bottom, I have -3. Therefore, I have a slope of -4. So I'm going to take that slope in either point. I'm going to use this point, and I'm going to plug into the slope-intercept form. Y equals m x minus x1 plus y1. And I just did a modified version of it. Usually this plus y1 is over here, but I just like it all on one side. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in y equals -4x and the opposite of x minus 4. When I distribute, I have y equals -4x plus 4 minus 4. So hopefully you see that those cancel. Therefore, my final answer is y equals -4x. Write an equation of a line that goes through the point and parallel to x equals -3. What I like to say is, when in doubt, draw it out. So the first thing we have is the point 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is right here. X equals -3 looks like this. So if I need equation parallel to this, I need my equation to look like that. Well, the only way that's possible is if I have x equals, and what value does it go through the x-axis at? And that's 3. So there's my final answer there. Okay, this problem basically said to evaluate, and you had 3 different choices. My guess, if I had to guess, you didn't use parentheses. I would use my calculator as well, but write it out like this first. So everywhere I see an x, I'm going to put parentheses, and in that parentheses, I'm going to evaluate at this number, which is -1 squared, or at this point right here in blue, put that in your calculator using parentheses and you'll have your answer. Otherwise, -1 squared is +1, bring down this negative, -5, therefore your answer is -6. Same thing here. Negative parentheses for x squared minus 5. When I evaluate at 3, 3 squared is 9, bring down the negative, therefore I have -14. And if I, like I said, if I had to guess, you probably forgot the parentheses. Okay, here we're going to find f of g of x and g of f of x. The first thing I like to do is rewrite this. F of g of x, or g of f of x. Okay, we're going to work on this first one. The first thing I'm going to do is start in the middle. What is the function of g of x? Well, that's x over 2. Now I'm going to find f of x over 2. So I'm going to go to the function of f, and everywhere I see an x, I'm going to put a parentheses, and in that parentheses is going to go this value right here, x over 2. Now we simplify. The 2's will cancel, and I'm left with x minus 1. Same thing here. Let's substitute. What does f of x equal? Well, it equals 2x minus 1. So I need g of that. So I'm going to go to g. Where I see parentheses, or x, I'm going to put parentheses. In that parentheses is going to be this value, which is 2x minus 1. So I can look at that a few ways. The easiest way probably is to do 2x over 2 minus 1 over 2, which is x minus 1/2. Or technically you could leave it like this as well. All right, so this one, it's asking you to add these functions, subtract f from g, and multiply them. this is what it's going to look like. Let's start here. F plus g of x. What I'm really looking for is f of x plus g of x. So f of x is negative x plus 5. G of x is x squared. Notice how I use parentheses for each. Since there's nothing to distribute here, I can take it out, and nothing to distribute there. Now all I have to do is go in standard form, put it in order. X squared minus x plus 5. So I believe they ask you for the coefficient in front. So here you would put a 1, here you would put a negative 1, and then here obviously you'd put a plus 5. All right, let's look at this one. Order matters. What I'm looking for here is g of x minus f of x. Since g of x is one term, I'm just going to substitute. Since f of x has more than one term, I'm going to use parentheses, negative x plus 5. I'll distribute, so I have positive x minus 5, and I'm already in order. So again, the coefficients are 1, 1, and negative 5. The last one we have here, we're looking at f of x times g of x. So I'm going to take f of x, which is negative x plus 5, and g of x, which is x squared. So maybe it's easier to write it this way. But either way, what we're going to do is we're going to distribute. That's negative x to the third plus 5x squared.